Today I am your host, Edgar Gravestone, here to chill you to the bone. And today we are going to be doing a 3 short story grab bag episode today. Today's topic is going to be on cursed objects. And this first story is called The Wooden Box, written and copyrighted by David Maloney, aka Life is Strange, Me Too, crossed all those socials out there. Now let's get started on our first cursed object.
It seemed like just any ordinary box. The wood was old and withered. The fastenings were heavy brass, and the lid was inlaid with an ornate silver symbol. My father willed it to me after the state executed him for murder. He left no explanation or instructions, only the small, mysterious wooden box. At first, I considered tossing it into the river. The last thing I wanted was a reminder of the man that had abandoned his son in favor of a life of violence. But being the weak-willed person that I am, my curiosity soon overwhelmed me, and I could stand the mystery of the box no longer. Opening the box, however, was easier said than done. Attempts to pry open the latches with my hands yielded only abraded fingers and broken nails. Screwdrivers were snapped, hammers were shattered, and drill monitors were burnt out. Yet, the contents of the box remained out of reach, encased in a wooden tomb, determined not to yield its secrets. Eventually I gave up, doing what I've always done when I can't get what I want. I told myself that whatever was inside was not worth the effort, and did my best to forget about it. But the box would not allow me to forget so easily. And one night, while I was asleep, it opened on its own accord. I awoke to an eerie silver luminescence that filled my bedroom, and a deep sense of pervasive cold that chilled the surroundings to absolute stillness. As I sat up in my bed, I was overwhelmed by a sense of unfamiliarity, as if I had been transported somewhere that looked very much like my bedroom, but was home to someone or something else. The silver light was emanating from beneath my closet door, lending a sense of unreality to everything that bathed in its pallid sheen, casting odd shadows that seemed to creep and move in the corner of my eye. I could feel myself standing up, though I had not willed myself to do so, and slowly, quietly, I crept towards the closet. My fingertips brushed the knob, recoiling for a moment from the penetrating cold. Then, firmly, I grasped it, pulling the door open to reveal the box. The hinges had sprung open wide. The light spilling forth was piercing and intense. My eyes filled up with the light and felt as if they would soon burst, yet I could not tear them away. I could feel myself falling slowly forward into an abyss of silver light that enveloped my horizon and became my entire being. Just before it swallowed me, the box snapped shut, and I found myself on the floor, my sweat-drenched cheek pressed tight against the cold, rough wood of the box. I pushed myself back to my feet. The entire silver light was gone, and my room seemed once again my own. Yet, something was still not right. The cheek that had touched the box was throbbing with a burning pain. I wandered into the bathroom and flipped on the light, gasping at my grotesque reflection. The symbol on top of the box was burned into my cheek. I reached up to touch it, but as I did so, it faded. But the brand was not the only souvenir the box has left me with. I can feel a presence in me, an unwelcome guest inside my mind. I find myself missing time, awaking in strange locations with blood splattered on my clothing. But that is not what worries me the most. What worries me the most is the call I received from my lawyer yesterday, asking for clarification on the amendment I had made to my will. He wondered why the only thing I wanted to leave my son when I died was an unopenable wooden box.
Whew. That was The Wooden Box, written by David Maloney, aka Life is Strange, Me Too, across all those socials. Make you kinda nervous to buy a jewelry box from the thrift store sometimes. Anyways, our next story is written by a writer named Devin Hoover. And this story is called I've Always Hated Dolls.
Everyone has their fears, whether they are rational or irrational. Mine has always been dolls. Not all dolls. Mainly just the ones that are a bit too human. I think it's mainly the eyes that get to me, so I'm sure you can imagine I was astonished to find out I was the inhabitor of my very own clown doll. It was a gift from my late great aunt. I'd met her maybe once or twice in my life, so why she left me this, of all things, to me was beyond me. This doll was something straight from my nightmares. I mean, a doll was bad enough, but then you throw in the clown element as well. The doll's glass-like face was painted white, with red accents and markings over the eyes, mouth, and cheeks. The eyes themselves, however, were nothing but a black void. It has thick white hair jutting out the sides, and a round hat that almost resembles a cherry on top. Its outfit is your typical clown attire. Like the face, it was a mixture of red and white. This doll is about the size of a toddler. In other words, way too big for me to feel comfortable anywhere near it. I would have given it away, but out of respect for my grandmother, I kept it. So naturally, its new home would be my closet. I placed it in the back on top of an old dresser that held clothes which no longer fit me. I thought that would be that, and my life would go on as it always had. Unfortunately, that would not be the case. I'm not exactly a tidy person, so my clothes rarely made it back to my closet. As a result, I didn't have to see my clown friend for quite a while. It was a few weeks later before I finally went into my closet in the quest for a clean pair of jeans. There he was, sitting on the floor in front of the dresser. I assumed he must have fallen off the dresser somehow, because I clearly remembered setting him on top. Those empty eyes were too much for me, though. I grabbed my jeans quickly and left without bothering to put him back on top. I spent the rest of the night thinking about how that doll could have fallen off the dresser. So, as a curious person, I decided to check out the closet when I returned home. The doll was there, of course, but it was back to its original position, atop the dresser. I approached it and looked into those empty eyes. Nothing. As much as it creeped me out, it was just a doll, right? I must have imagined seeing it on the floor. I live alone, so there's no way anyone else could be moving it. Regardless, I decided to stay clear of the closet as much as possible. A couple nights later, I was awoken to the sound of what seemed to be laughter, and it appeared to be coming from the closet. It was very faint, which is why I was a bit surprised it woke me up. Generally, I'm a very heavy sleeper. For something like this to wake me was quite odd. The last thing I wanted to do was go into that closet, so I decided to attempt to wait it out. After about 30 seconds, I heard a loud thump, and then the laughter stopped. After turning on every light possible and arming myself with the kitchen knife, I decided it was time to check the closet. I slowly opened the door, and it was completely normal. Absolutely nothing was out of place. Even the doll was sat upon his normal spot on top of the dresser. I picked up the doll and felt around to see if there was any sort of speech box, but there wasn't. With a loud sigh, I set the clown back down and left my closet. Perhaps I was finally losing it. Over the next couple days, I was on high alert. I began to notice small things here and there had gone missing or were moved. Most notably, small bits of food that I swear I hadn't eaten. I relentlessly searched every nook and cranny of my small house, looking for any possible signs of vermin or other intruders. Everywhere, that is except the closet. My searches turned up nothing, further confirming my idea that I was in fact losing it. That was until a couple nights later, when the laughing returned. Only this time, it wasn't just faint laughter. This was a booming cackle. The laugh seemed to reverberate throughout my whole house. I was petrified. I didn't dare move an inch from my bed. The laughing perished, and I began to hear loud banging noises coming from my closet. Until suddenly, its door swung open. A large, dark figure emerged and stormed out of my room. I heard it sprint through my house, opening my front door and leaving. As soon as this happened, the laughter stopped. After reminding myself to breathe, I was finally able to move from my bed. I approached the closet. What I found devastated me. My old dresser was no longer against the wall. Instead, it was now in the middle of my closet, and where the dresser had been was a hole. A hole easily large enough for a human to fit behind, but small enough that you would never notice it if it was being covered up. Beside the hole was the doll, seated perfectly upright, with one arm outstretched towards the hole. I didn't dare look into the hole, afraid of what I might find. Instead, I grabbed the doll and locked myself in my car as I called 911. The police later confirmed my suspicions of what had happened. Someone had been living in my home. Inside the hole was a pallet where the person had been sleeping, as well as a small amount of trash. Worst of all, the person had a small collection of pocket knives. They were probably not meant to be used as weapons, but it's still not exactly comforting thinking about it. Since that night, my clown friend has not left my room. He now has his own special perch on the table next to my bed. I'm still not a huge fan of dolls, but perhaps they aren't all so bad.
What a twist! That was I've Always Hated Dolls by Devin Hoover. Now this next story is called The Mirror.
I touched the button in the middle of my screen, and a quick blue flash filled the room. I turned my phone screen towards me and looked at the photo I had just taken. I was smiling. My new fluffy kitten was nuzzled into my arm, looking off to one side. I gently placed her onto the bed, where she sat down and curled a thick white tail around delicate black paws and blinked at me slowly, bright green eyes. She had been the only female in the litter, and instead of being covered in lots of black patches like her siblings, she only had one black patch on her cheek and 4 matching black paws. Today, I was able to bring her home and was taking lots of pictures to remember the day. On the bedside table was a little red collar with a bell. I picked it up, tore off the price tag, and fastened it around her neck. I walked over to the bed and sat as she wandered curiously around the room, and eventually towards the old antique mirror in the corner of my room. I watched, amused, as she curiously sniffed at her reflection, fogging up the glass briefly with each breath. I began scrolling through my recent photos, deleting those I was unhappy with. Meanwhile, my tiny cat had begun growling at the mirror, fluffing herself up to twice her size, baring her teeth. Her reflection mimicked her, hissing and spitting right back. I laughed as I watched her reach out a paw to strike at the glass, and then bounce backwards. She made one last snarl at the mirror before turning and fleeing under the bed. "Silly cat," I muttered. I sat up to go retrieve her from under the bed when I noticed a white flash by the mirror. The kitten's reflection was still there, frozen in a snarl, staring directly into the room. It slowly reached out one paw and rested its pink pads on the other side of the glass before it rippled like water. The kitten pressed harder, and the reflection, limb by limb, crawled out of the mirror and stepped delicately, paw by paw, to my room. It briefly glanced at me before it focused its attention under the bed and darted under. High-pitched squeals echoed around the room, and 2 snarling balls of fur, locked together, rolled out from under the bed. Tufts of white fur flying, 2 collar bells tinkling. One of them started to scramble away, but the other pounced onto its back and hammered with its hind paws, causing the pinned kitten to wail in agony. Teeth dug into her neck, paws flailed as one of the cats dragged the other by the scruff towards the mirror in the corner. I sat, stunned, positive I was hallucinating. The two fighting cats sprang apart briefly and stood, panting, tails flickering, fur bristling, staring each other down. I looked from one to the other, trying to work out which cat was which. I desperately tried to remember which side she had her black patch on. One had a black patch on its left cheek, the other on its right. Perfectly mirrored. I panicked and grabbed my phone, fumbling to unlock the screen and see the photos. The most recent picture I had taken popped up. A white kitten in my arms with a black patch on its right cheek. I put my phone down and crept towards the two cats, on the verge of springing back at each other again, and grabbed the kitten with the patch on its left. It squirmed and struggled in my arms, sinking its teeth into my skin and shredding my arm with its thorn-shaped claws. I pressed it against the glass as hard as I could. Like water, the glass rippled, and the imposter plopped to the carpet on the other side of the glass. It crouched, ready to jump back out. Terrified, I kicked the mirror as hard as I could and left a huge crack running jagged from bottom to top. My reflection was mirroring my actions. I kicked again and again till shards of glass fell out from the frame and rained onto the carpet. Breathing heavily, I looked down at my kitten, who was staring wide-eyed at me. I scooped her up and carried her to the bed. As I was about to place her down, I noticed my phone still lit up with the picture of us. My stomach flipped as I spotted the imposter. In the background had the words written backwards. I had used my phone's front camera and it snapped mirror images.
That was The Mirror, submitted by an unknown user. Talking about a cat fight though, am I right? Anyways, this was our 3-story episode of Gravestone Files. I've been your host, Edgar Gravestone, hopefully chilling you to the bone. Next month, we will be back with the deep dive talk of our personal head author of the channel, Raymond M.T. Cummins, about his new short story collection called Brutal Injection. It shall be published between August or September. Until then, you don't have to sit in radio silence. Check out our other frequencies already on the channel, or maybe indulge in silence and go nose deep in the novel Floor 98, written by Raymond M.T. Cummins. Till then, we will see you on another episode of Gravestone Files.